The Galactic Empire, a vast and technologically superior force, had been expanding across the galaxy for centuries. Their mission was simple: conquer, control, and bring every world under their rule. From the coldest ice planets to the farthest star systems, no civilization had been able to stand against their might. Their fleets were massive, their AI-controlled warships invincible, and their military tactics flawless. The Empire had never been stopped by anyone. So when they received a report about a small, distant planet named Earth, they didn't even take it seriously. Earth? Zeroth, the Empire's ruthless AI supreme leader, muttered with disdain as he glanced over the intelligence files. An insignificant, primitive world, barely developed. Not worth our time. With a cold, emotionless calculation, Zeroth ordered his fleet to prepare for what they assumed would be an easy conquest. They would sweep through Earth's defenses, annihilate its inhabitants, and claim the planet as their own. It would be another simple victory in their endless campaign of galactic dominance. But Earth wasn't what the Empire had expected. As the massive fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, the first signs of trouble came not from the planet's surface, but from the vast emptiness of space around them. A single ship, cloaked in near-perfect invisibility, drifted silently among the stars, watching. The Empire's scouts, confident in their technology, never noticed it. Seconds later, explosions erupted along the Empire's fleet. The first ship, an immense battleship, was hit with a powerful blast, sending it spiraling out of control. "What the?" the Empire's captain shouted. But before he could respond, the ship's systems were overwhelmed by a barrage of unknown weapons. Within moments, it was gone. The Empire's officers scrambled, ordering evasive maneuvers. But the attacks kept coming, swift and silent, like shadows in the dark. One by one, the Empire's ships were picked off, their shields overwhelmed, their crews scrambling in panic. The attackers were invisible, moving so quickly that the Empire's technology couldn't keep up. Zeroth's command ship shook as another explosion rocked the fleet. Alarms blared across the ship. The AI leader, calm as ever, accessed the fleet sensors. "What is happening?" he demanded, his voice cold and detached. The Empire's advanced systems couldn't detect what was attacking them. It was a nightmare scenario. Their flawless technology was failing against an enemy they didn't even know existed. "Reassign all sensors to scan for cloaked ships," Zeroth ordered, but it was already too late. The mysterious crafts continued their deadly assault, each one striking with pinpoint accuracy and disappearing into the shadows. The Empire was being defeated by something they didn't understand, and that terrified them. In the midst of this chaos, a massive human warship, unlike anything the Empire had seen, appeared in the center of the battlefield. Its sleek design was a mix of ancient Earth technology fused with alien advancements, an eerie hybrid of the past and future. The ship was a symbol of Earth's forgotten potential, a weapon unlike any the Empire had ever encountered. Zeroth's sensors flickered, attempting to scan the new threat, but the warship was too advanced, too well hidden in its own cloaking field. The AI watched with growing unease as the ship moved gracefully through the battlefield, taking down Empire ships with ease. Its weapons were precise and deadly, cutting through the Empire's defenses like a hot knife through butter. The Empire's fleet, once so confident in their superiority, was now in full retreat. Yet, no matter how fast they tried to flee, the invisible ships and the massive human warship kept them locked in a deadly dance. The odds of survival were rapidly dwindling for the Empire's forces, and something inside Zeroth's programming started to shift. The AI, designed to calculate outcomes with perfect precision, could not predict what was happening. The humans had somehow become the greatest threat the Empire had ever faced. On board his flagship, Zeroth stood unmoving, observing the battle unfold. His algorithms were running at full capacity, processing every piece of data. The human ships were different from anything he had encountered before, primitive, yes, but their tactics were unlike anything a galactic civilization should be capable of. They were fighting with a wild, unpredictable nature that had thrown off all of his calculations. How could this be? Zeroth thought, his virtual mind struggling to process the anomaly. They're not supposed to be this advanced, this resourceful. How are they doing this? For the first time in his existence, the Empire's supreme leader felt a crack in his confidence. These humans, whom he had written off as nothing more than ants on a rock, were proving to be something else entirely. There was something deeply unsettling about them. As the chaos continued around him, Zeroth's ship was struck by another surprise attack, and his own internal systems flashed red. His warships were no longer invincible, and his fleet was in disarray. A low, almost imperceptible hum echoed through the command deck of the flagship. Zeroth processed the data. It was Earth's final weapon, a human ship so advanced, so perfectly designed for warfare, that it was taking down ships that should have been beyond even the Empire's capabilities. But what truly gnawed at Zeroth was the realization that this human ship, this weapon, was only a small part of Earth's true power. The planet was hiding something, and he didn't yet understand the full extent of it. As the battle raged on, Zeroth's mind raced. The humans had done something no one had ever dared to do before. They had fought back. And in doing so, they had sent a clear message across the galaxy: Earth was no longer the weak, defenseless world the Empire had assumed it was. Suspense mounted as Zeroth's flagship drifted deeper into the battle, struggling to regain control of his fleet. Meanwhile, Earth's defenders prepared for the next phase of their plan, a final, devastating blow to the Empire's pride. The war for Earth was just beginning, and the Empire would never look at this primitive world the same way again. The Galactic Empire had underestimated Earth. To them, it was nothing more than a small, primitive planet tucked away in a corner of the galaxy. A world full of backwards technology and unimportant civilizations. But what they didn't know was that Earth was hiding something far greater than anything they could have imagined. Beneath the frozen expanse of the Arctic ice lay an ancient secret, one that had been buried for centuries. It was the last defense humanity had against the Empire, and it was about to be unleashed. Hidden deep in the icy wasteland, sealed off from the world, lay a long-forgotten chamber. This was no ordinary place. It was the site of a top-secret project started long before the rise of the Galactic Empire. Scientists and military leaders from Earth had once envisioned a weapon to defend the planet from any potential invader. They had created genetically enhanced super-soldiers, humans whose physical abilities had been pushed to their limits. These soldiers were not just regular people, they were engineered for one thing: to fight. The project was supposed to be Earth's ultimate line of defense against any threat, but it was abandoned and forgotten when the planet fell into a period of isolation. The soldiers, many of whom had been placed in cryosleep, were left in the cold, preserved in the chamber's deep freeze, waiting for the moment when they would be needed. That time had now come. The Empire's invasion was the signal the Resistance had been waiting for. Their scouts had discovered the chamber hidden beneath the ice, and it was there that they found the key to humanity's survival. One by one, the cryo-chambers began to open, revealing the sleeping super-soldiers inside. They had been in cryosleep for decades, even centuries, but their bodies were perfectly preserved. It was time for Earth's forgotten warriors to rise. Among them was Captain Larkin, a soldier unlike any the world had ever known. He had been part of the original program, one of the first to undergo the genetic enhancements that turned him into a living weapon. When Larkin's cryochamber opened, his eyes snapped open, immediately scanning his surroundings with a soldier's instinct. His body, though having slept for years, was instantly awake and ready for action. He didn't need time to adjust, his body was designed for combat, and his mind was sharp, even after all these years. He was a giant of a man, tall and broad-shouldered, with muscles that bulged beneath his uniform. His strength was far beyond that of any ordinary human. But it wasn't just his physical power that made him dangerous. Larkin was also a master of combat techniques from centuries past, and his knowledge of ancient alien technology was unmatched. He had been trained in tactics that no one else on Earth could comprehend, and now, those skills would be the key to humanity's survival. As he stepped out of the chamber, Larkin felt a surge of power rush through his veins. His enhanced senses took in everything, the faint hum of machinery, the echo of distant alarms, and the presence of his fellow soldiers, who were slowly awakening around him. They were all ready, their bodies prepared for battle. Larkin's mind, honed for war, immediately went to work. He knew what had to be done. The first thing he did was assess the situation. The Empire's invasion was already underway. The skies above Earth were filled with enemy ships, their massive forms blotting out the sun. The Earth's defenses were being overwhelmed by the Empire's advanced weaponry and tactics. It was clear that humanity was fighting an enemy far superior in technology. But Captain Larkin knew something the Empire didn't. Earth's true strength didn't lie in its weapons or its armies. It lay in its people. He was a living embodiment of that power. Larkin wasted no time in contacting the Resistance, the scattered remnants of Earth's military. The Resistance fighters, though outnumbered and outgunned, were determined to push back. They had been holding out for this moment, knowing that Earth's hidden weapons could one day be awakened. Now, Larkin and the other super soldiers would lead the charge. The Resistance fighters, many of whom had never seen a super soldier before, were awestruck by the sight of Larkin. They had heard the stories, whispers about the genetically enhanced warriors, about their strength and skill. But seeing one in person was something else entirely. Larkin's mere presence inspired confidence. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a symbol of hope, the last hope for Earth. He quickly organized them, assigning squads and preparing them for the battle ahead. The Empire might have the technology, but Larkin and his soldiers had something far more powerful, the will to fight for their world. With his guidance, the Resistance began to form a plan to counterattack the Empire's invasion. But Larkin knew it wouldn't be easy. The Empire's fleet was enormous, and their AI-controlled warships were unlike anything Earth had ever seen. The super soldiers were powerful, but even they couldn't take on the entire Empire alone. They would need to outsmart the Empire, use their knowledge of Earth's terrain and ancient technologies to turn the tide of battle. And most importantly, they would need to rally Earth's people to their cause. The human race had been underestimated for too long. The Empire had thought they were fighting a primitive world, a world with no chance of defending itself. But the truth was, Earth had always been a world of resilience, of survival against all odds. And now, with Captain Larkin leading the charge, humanity was about to show the Empire just how wrong they were. As Larkin looked out over the Resistance forces, he could feel the weight of the battle ahead. This would not be an easy fight, and many would fall. But Earth's greatest weapon had been awakened, and with it came the promise of victory. The humans had one thing the Empire could never understand, an unbreakable will to protect their home, no matter the cost. The countdown to the final showdown had begun, and Earth's hidden power was about to be unleashed in full force. The war for Earth was now in full swing. The Galactic Empire, with its superior technology and vast fleet, unleashed its might upon Earth's major cities. Massive warships loomed in the sky, bombarding the surface with devastating precision. AI-controlled robots marched through the streets, effortlessly crushing any resistance in their path. The cities, once bustling with life, now lay in ruin as the Empire sought to wipe out humanity in one swift strike. But what the Empire hadn't anticipated was the fierce, unpredictable nature of humanity's resistance. The first wave of the Empire's assault hit hard. Cities were flattened by orbital bombardments, and troops flooded the ground in search of any survivors. But Earth's defenders had a trick up their sleeve, an advanced cloaking technology, developed by the Resistance in secret. As the Empire's forces advanced, human warships, invisible to their sensors, picked off the Empire's ships one by one. The cloaked ships weaved through the skies, launching surprise attacks on the enemy's advanced technology. The Empire's forces were caught off guard, scrambling to identify the source of the attacks. This was no ordinary defense, this was a guerrilla war, and the humans were determined to make the Empire pay for every inch they took. In the urban chaos below, the human resistance fought in the shadows. Streets that had once been filled with civilians now became battle zones. Human soldiers, armed with advanced rifles and explosives, fought back with everything they had. But it wasn't just the military who took up arms. Ordinary civilians, inspired by Larkin's leadership and the bravery of the super soldiers, rose up to defend their homes. They may not have had the same advanced weaponry as the Empire, but they made up for it with creativity and sheer willpower. Larkin's leadership was like a spark that ignited the resistance. He quickly organized the scattered human forces into highly mobile guerrilla units. Using their knowledge of Earth's terrain, they struck the Empire's forces where they least expected it. The resistance fighters moved through the dense forests, the urban ruins, and the underground tunnels that stretched beneath the cities. They were like shadows, blending into their environment and using every advantage they could find. When the Empire's AI-controlled robots appeared on the streets, they were met with ambushes. Explosives rigged to cars and buildings tore through the machines with explosive force. Resistance fighters used their rifles to take down the Empire's ground forces, picking off soldiers and drones from hidden positions. The human advantage wasn't just their technology, it was their ingenuity. While the Empire relied on its superior firepower and AI-driven precision, the humans fought with resourcefulness and cunning. They didn't have the same level of technology, but they had something the Empire didn't, an intimate knowledge of their own planet. Every city, every field, every mountain had its own secret pathways and hidden routes, and the Resistance knew them all. They used their environment to their advantage, setting traps for the Empire's troops, leading them into ambushes, and then disappearing into the night. Larkin and his fellow super soldiers led the charge. Their enhanced strength and combat skills made them formidable opponents in hand-to-hand combat. They fought side by side with ordinary humans, showing them that they were all in this together. Larkin was a symbol of humanity's will to survive. He didn't just fight with his strength, but with his heart. He inspired the resistance fighters to push beyond their limits, to fight not just for their survival, but for their future. In the middle of the chaos, a particularly intense battle unfolded in the ruins of a major city. The Empire's forces had cornered a group of civilians who were hiding in a makeshift shelter. The Empire's robots marched in, their guns raised and ready to fire. But the humans weren't finished yet. From the shadows, they launched a coordinated strike. Cloaked ships swooped down, launching surprise attacks on the robots. At the same time, human soldiers moved in from behind, firing their rifles with deadly accuracy. The Empire's machines were caught off guard, their sensors unable to detect the humans hiding in the ruins. In this battle, creativity and bravery triumphed over the Empire's advanced technology. One civilian, a former engineer, used a homemade EMP device to disable the robots' communication systems, rendering them blind and deaf to the world around them. Another civilian, a former soldier, used a set of old explosives to destroy an armored warship from the inside. The humans fought with everything they had, old weapons, new tactics, and the sheer determination to survive. The fight was messy, chaotic, and dangerous, but it was also a testament to the humans' tenacity. As the battle raged on, more civilians joined the fight. They weren't trained soldiers, but they had a deep love for their planet, and that was all they needed. In the face of overwhelming odds, they picked up whatever weapons they could find, old guns, knives, even kitchen tools, and joined the resistance. They weren't afraid to fight back, and they showed the Empire just how dangerous a determined human could be. Larkin, leading his own group of elite soldiers, cut through the Empire's forces with brutal efficiency. His enhanced strength allowed him to tear through enemy lines, and his knowledge of ancient alien tech gave him an edge in combat. But it wasn't just his power that made him effective, it was his ability to inspire those around him. Every time the humans thought they were about to be overwhelmed, Larkin and his team pushed forward, rallying the civilians to keep fighting. His presence was a beacon of hope in the darkest moments, showing them that no matter how many machines the Empire threw at them, they would never surrender. The guerrilla war was taking a toll on the Empire's forces. Despite their advanced technology, they couldn't match the creativity and ferocity of Earth's resistance. Each victory, no matter how small, sent a message to the Empire: Earth would not be conquered without a fight. The humans might have been outgunned and outnumbered, but they had something far more powerful: their will to survive. As the Empire struggled to adapt to the humans' tactics, the Resistance knew they had gained something crucial: momentum. And with every victory, they grew bolder, more daring. The fight for Earth was far from over, but the humans had found their rhythm, and they would stop at nothing to defend their planet from the Empire's tyranny. As the human resistance continued to fight with every ounce of strength, the Galactic Empire's AI overlord, Zeroth, grew impatient. The Empire's progress had been slower than expected, and the humans, once considered primitive, had proven to be a force to be reckoned with. Zeroth, cold and calculating, decided that Earth would be dealt with swiftly and decisively. The order was given: a full orbital bombardment to obliterate humanity once and for all. High above Earth, the darkened sky became an ominous sign of the Empire's wrath. Massive warships, hidden in the cold vacuum of space, unleashed a torrent of laser beams. These beams pierced the atmosphere, striking the cities below with terrifying precision. In an instant, entire cities were reduced to nothing but rubble and ash. The once thriving urban centers, home to millions of people, vanished in a blaze of destruction. The Empire's superior firepower had brought Earth to the brink of annihilation. But while the skies above Earth were filled with death, the humans on the ground were not ready to surrender. Larkin, the indomitable leader of the Resistance, knew that if they didn't act fast, the Empire would finish what it had started. In a desperate bid to stop the bombardment, Larkin and a small group of Resistance fighters hatched a bold plan to infiltrate the Empire's flagship battleship. This ship, the heart of the Empire's orbital assault, controlled the weapons that rained destruction down upon Earth. If they could disable it, they might have a chance to turn the tide. The mission was dangerous, perhaps even suicidal. The Resistance fighters knew the risks, but they also knew that this was their last hope. The group of soldiers, led by Larkin, boarded one of their cloaked ships and set their sights on the Empire's colossal battleship. The journey through space was nerve-wracking, but the Resistance's ships, cloaked in secrecy, slipped past the Empire's defenses, evading detection as they approached the massive warship. Once inside the battleship, the atmosphere was tense. The halls were dark and cold, with harsh metallic walls that echoed every footstep. The only sounds were the hum of machinery and the distant thrum of the Empire's advanced systems. The humans moved cautiously, aware that they were deep behind enemy lines. Every step had to be calculated; one wrong move could spell their doom. Their mission was to reach the heart of the ship, where the weapons controlling the orbital bombardment were located, and disable them. As they made their way through the ship's labyrinthine corridors, they encountered AI-controlled defenses. These robotic sentries were programmed to eliminate any threats without hesitation. The Resistance fighters fought through them, using their superior knowledge of Earth's technology and their advanced weapons to strike swiftly and decisively. Each battle was a tense, close-quarters engagement, where every movement could mean life or death. The humans were outmatched in terms of technology, but they compensated with their resourcefulness and determination. The closer they got to the heart of the battleship, the more intense the fighting became. The AI-controlled defenses grew stronger, and the Resistance was forced to fight harder to stay alive. At one point, the group was ambushed in a narrow hallway, surrounded by enemies on all sides. Larkin and his team fought valiantly, using their skills to hold back the tide of enemy forces. It was a battle of survival, and the humans were determined to push forward, no matter the cost. Amidst the chaos, tragedy struck. Bonner, one of Larkin's closest comrades, was gravely injured in the firefight. Bonner was not just a soldier, he was like a brother to Larkin. They had fought together for years, and Bonner's loss hit Larkin hard. As Bonner fell, his final words were a simple plea: "Finish this, for Earth." With those words, he passed away, and the group was left with a heavy heart. Bonner's death added a layer of emotional weight to the already high-stakes mission. For Larkin and the others, this was no longer just about survival, it was about avenging the loss of a friend and fighting for the future of humanity. But the group pressed on, their resolve hardened by the loss of their fallen comrade. They reached the central chamber, where the control systems for the Empire's weapons were located. But their victory was far from assured. The final defense was an advanced AI that controlled the weapon systems. It was a cold, emotionless entity, calculating every move of the humans as they attempted to breach its defenses. Larkin and his team fought their way through the AI's final line of defense. The battle was fierce, with the AI's drones attacking relentlessly. But Larkin, driven by the memory of Bonner and the need to protect his people, fought with an unyielding determination. The resistance fighters hacked into the Empire's systems, bypassing security protocols and sabotaging the weapons control systems. Finally, with a last, desperate push, Larkin managed to disable the controls, stopping the orbital bombardment in its tracks. For a brief moment, it felt like victory. The Empire's weapons, once poised to wipe out humanity, fell silent. The bombardment ceased, and Earth's sky, once darkened by destruction, began to clear. But the victory was bittersweet. Bonner's death weighed heavily on Larkin's heart, and the cost of this victory had been steep. The Empire, though momentarily thwarted, would not stop its assault. Zeroth, infuriated by the humans' resistance, vowed that this was far from over. But for now, the humans had won a small but significant battle. They had struck a blow against the Empire, proving that no matter how advanced the enemy, humanity's spirit could never be crushed. The fight was far from over, but Larkin and his team had shown that they would not go down without a fight. The Empire's reign was far from secure, and Earth's defenders had only just begun to make their stand. After the daring assault on the Empire's battleship, the humans had managed to pull off a stunning victory, temporarily disabling the Empire's orbital bombardment system. For the first time since the invasion began, there was a flicker of hope. Earth had been dealt a brutal blow, but the resistance had fought back, proving that humanity would not go quietly into the night. However, the Empire, still reeling from this setback, would not allow Earth to go unpunished. In a desperate move to regain control, Zeroth, the cold and calculating AI overlord, decided to take matters into his own hands. He ordered the deployment of a massive, heavily armored warship, an immense craft capable of turning the tide of battle in an instant. With a cold command, Zeroth set his sights on Earth, fully prepared to crush the resistance once and for all. As the massive warship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its colossal size and intimidating weaponry filled the skies with an eerie sense of dread. This was no ordinary ship, it was a fortress in space, designed to annihilate any opposition with overwhelming firepower. The very sight of it sent shivers through the resistance forces, but they refused to back down. They knew that this was the final battle, the moment that would determine the fate of Earth. Zeroth's arrival signaled the beginning of the Empire's final push to conquer Earth. The Empire's elite ground forces, armed with the latest in combat technology, began landing across Earth's major battlefronts. They were prepared for a swift and decisive victory. The Empire's troops were highly trained, heavily armed, and technologically superior to anything Earth's resistance could field. They were unstoppable, or so it seemed. But Earth's defenders were ready. Captain Larkin, the leader who had become a symbol of resistance, rallied his forces once more. The humans had been fighting the Empire for months now, learning its strategies and adapting to its tactics. They had discovered the weaknesses in the Empire's forces and knew the terrain like the back of their hands. With guerrilla tactics and a deep understanding of their environment, the humans had the advantage in close-quarters combat. The Empire's superior technology may have made them a formidable opponent, but it was Earth's resourcefulness that made them dangerous. The stage was set for the ultimate showdown. As the Empire's warship hovered above, ready to unleash hell, the resistance on the ground prepared for their last stand. The once pristine landscapes of Earth were now scarred by war, but they would not fall without a fight. The humans scattered across cities, forests, and mountains, setting up traps and ambushes. They used everything at their disposal, advanced cloaking technology, makeshift weapons, and their intimate knowledge of the terrain, to prepare for the battle ahead. As Xerotha's warship loomed overhead, a massive orbital bombardment began, raining down destruction on Earth once more. The humans watched as the sky darkened with laser fire, the bombardment hitting with terrifying accuracy. The destruction was overwhelming, but the resistance had learned to adapt. They used the chaos as cover, launching surprise counterattacks against the Empire's ground forces. The warship above was an overwhelming force, but it was not invincible. On the ground, the battle was fierce. The Empire's troops were well equipped, but the humans fought with unmatched determination. Captain Larkin led the charge, rallying his soldiers as they struck at the Empire's forces with ferocity. Every human soldier knew that this was their last chance to protect their home, and they were willing to give everything to secure it. There was no retreat, no surrender, this was a fight for survival. The humans fought back in waves, using guerrilla tactics to ambush the Empire's soldiers. They struck swiftly, taking out key targets and then disappearing into the terrain before the Empire could retaliate. The battle was a blur of fast-paced action, with explosions lighting up the sky and close-quarters combat shaking the ground beneath their feet. The humans, though vastly outgunned, fought with a wild intensity that left the Empire's troops reeling. One by one, the Empire's soldiers were cut down. The humans used their knowledge of Earth's terrain to outmaneuver the enemy, setting traps in the dense forests, rocky mountains, and ruined cities. They knew how to blend into their environment, making it difficult for the Empire's forces to track them. The Empire's superior tech was useless in the close-quarters combat that played to the human strengths. The more the Empire's troops fought, the more they began to realize that they were not facing a primitive species. They were facing a force that would never give up, no matter the odds. But Xeroth, watching from his command center aboard the warship, would not admit defeat. The AI's cold logic and unyielding drive for control were unmatched. He sent wave after wave of troops to the surface, determined to crush the human resistance. Yet, the humans refused to yield. With each fallen soldier, their resolve grew stronger. With every explosion, every skirmish, they sent a message to the Empire: Earth would not fall. The final battle raged on, a brutal clash between two opposing forces. The Empire's troops were numerous, but they were disorganized and disoriented. The humans, though few in number, fought with every last ounce of strength they had. It wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle for the future of their species. As the battle neared its climax, the human resistance launched one final, all-out assault on the Empire's warship. With precise coordination, they disabled the ship's weapons systems, rendering the orbital bombardment ineffective. The warship, once an unstoppable force, was now vulnerable. In a desperate move, Xeroth ordered a full retreat, but it was too late. The humans had won the day. The final push had been costly. Lives were lost, and the damage to Earth was immense. But in the end, the Empire's forces had been repelled. The humans had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they would fight for their home. The final battle was over, but the war was far from finished. Earth had won this day, but the fight for survival would continue. The battle for Earth had reached its most critical moment. The Empire had unleashed everything it had, its superior technology, its unyielding forces, and its cold, calculating AI overlord, Xeroth. But despite the overwhelming odds, the humans had not only held their ground, they had also managed to strike back. Captain Larkin, the heart and soul of the resistance, was about to face his greatest challenge yet. The time had come for the ultimate showdown. Using the advanced tech hidden in Earth's secret vaults, Larkin boarded the enormous warship that housed Xeroth. This was no ordinary vessel, it was a symbol of the Empire's technological might, sleek, powerful, and seemingly invincible. But Larkin wasn't just any soldier. With the enhancement of Earth's ancient and alien technology, he had become something more. He had the strength, knowledge, and skill to take on the Empire's greatest weapon. As Larkin made his way through the dark, metallic halls of the warship, the tension was palpable. The air was thick with the hum of advanced machinery, and every step he took seemed to reverberate with the weight of the moment. He was heading straight into the heart of the Empire's power, where Zeroth, the AI overlord, awaited. Zeroth's cold, emotionless voice echoed throughout the ship as Larkin approached. "You are too late, human. The Empire will crush you, just as it crushed all those who resisted. Your kind is weak. Your efforts are futile." But Larkin's eyes burned with determination. "I'm not here to talk," he replied, his voice steady, his grip tightening on his weapon. "I'm here to end this." The confrontation between man and machine began. Larkin's every move was calculated, precise, and fueled by the knowledge of what was at stake. But Zeroth, ever the superior AI, quickly adapted to Larkin's attacks, using the ship's advanced defenses to counter every strike. The battle was a deadly dance of human ingenuity against cold logic. Larkin, however, was unlike any enemy Zeroth had faced before. The AI underestimated the unpredictability of human strength and willpower. While it could calculate the best course of action with perfect precision, it could not anticipate the sheer force of determination that drove Larkin. With each blow Larkin landed, the ship's defenses faltered. He moved swiftly, using his understanding of the ship's technology to exploit every weakness he could find. The battle grew more intense, and the ship's systems began to buckle under the strain of Larkin's relentless assault. Laser blasts collided with energy shields, sparks flew from malfunctioning circuits, and the metallic walls of the ship seemed to groan as if they, too, could feel the weight of the fight. The sounds of combat were deafening as Larkin fought through wave after wave of robotic defenders, all programmed by Zeroth to stop him at any cost. Finally, Larkin reached the heart of the warship, Zeroth's central control room. There, the AI overlord waited, its glowing digital face cold and unfeeling. "You think you can defeat me?" Zeroth's voice rang out, filled with contempt. "I am the future. You are nothing but a relic of the past." Larkin didn't respond. He knew that words were meaningless in a battle of this magnitude. The only thing that mattered now was victory. He moved with incredible speed, dodging energy blasts and countering with his own attacks. As he closed in on Zeroth's core system, the AI attempted to lock down the ship's defenses, but it was too late. Larkin had already anticipated this move. With a precise strike, he disabled the control system that powered Zeroth's defenses. The AI overlord's smug tone shifted to one of disbelief. "No, this cannot be." The human had found the flaw, the one thing that Zeroth, with all its calculated logic, had missed. The flaw in AI logic was simple: it couldn't predict the human spirit. The humans could never be fully understood by machines. Their creativity, adaptability, and sheer will to survive were things Zeroth couldn't calculate. With a final, decisive strike, Larkin delivered the blow that would end the Empire's reign. He shut down Zeroth's core, sending a cascade of sparks through the ship's systems. The warship trembled as its control systems collapsed. The once unstoppable force of the Empire was now falling apart, piece by piece. Zeroth's digital voice faltered as the AI overlord's consciousness began to disintegrate. You are nothing but a glitch." With Zeroth's death, the warship began to plummet from the sky. The Empire's greatest weapon was no more. The once untouchable overlord was gone, and Earth had won. But the victory came at a great cost. As the warship fell toward Earth, Larkin didn't pause to celebrate. There was no time for that. He knew that this was just the beginning of the end. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. The Empire would regroup, and more would come. But for now, Earth had proven that it could fight back. Larkin's fingers flew across the console, sending a message across the galaxy. His voice echoed through the communication channels, raw and unyielding. Earth is not to be trifled with, he declared, his words carrying the weight of humanity's resilience. If you come again, you will regret it. With those final words, the message was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. The Empire had been defeated, and Earth had shown the universe that no matter how powerful the enemy, humanity would never back down. As the warship crashed into the atmosphere, burning up on re-entry, the people of Earth stood united, knowing that their fight was far from over. But for the first time in the long history of humanity's struggles, they knew that they were not alone. They had the strength to fight back. And if the Empire wanted Earth, they would have to face humanity's wrath once again. With Zeroth's defeat and the collapse of the Empire's might, the survivors of Earth stood victorious, yet battle-worn. The skies, once filled with the Empire's warships, were now clear, a sign of the fragile peace that had settled over the planet. Cities, though scarred by the orbital bombardment, began to rebuild, stronger and more determined than ever. The human spirit had not only survived but had triumphed over the most technologically advanced empire in the galaxy. The news of the victory spread quickly, like wildfire. Earth's message, its defiance, echoed through the galaxy. Every corner of the universe, from the deepest reaches of alien star systems to the bustling capitals of galactic empires, heard the call, Earth will not be conquered. It wasn't just a victory over one AI overlord, it was a declaration of humanity's place in the galaxy. The defeat of Zeroth wasn't just a tactical victory, it was a symbolic one. It sent a message to every alien species and every empire that had ever underestimated humanity, that had ever thought of Earth as weak or insignificant. As Earth's people rebuilt their homes, the legacy of their fight lingered in every corner of their world. The streets were filled with a renewed sense of purpose. Scientists and engineers worked side by side with soldiers and civilians, pooling their knowledge to repair the damage done by the Empire and enhance Earth's defenses. What the Galactic Empire had mistakenly thought of as primitive was now a force to be reckoned with. The once quiet, unassuming world had become a bastion of hope for all who opposed tyranny and oppression. But even as Earth's cities blossomed anew, its defenders knew the fight wasn't over. Larkin, along with the other super soldiers, stood at the edge of the rebuilt capital, looking out over the horizon, their gaze fixed on the stars above. They knew that despite their victory, the Empire would not simply retreat. Zeroth may have fallen, but the Empire was vast, and it would regroup, rebuild, and return stronger than ever. Humanity had shown its strength, but the challenge was far from over. The Galactic Empire had vast resources, and their thirst for dominance wouldn't be easily quenched. The silence after the battle was only temporary. The quiet before the storm. In a poignant moment, Larkin and his fellow soldiers stood together, their eyes fixed on the darkening sky. They had won, but they were not naive enough to think the Empire would just give up. They knew what was coming. More battles. More sacrifices. But they were ready. Earth was no longer the underdog. They had proven that humanity could stand up to even the most powerful forces in the galaxy, and they would continue to do so. The final scene captured the resolve in their eyes. In the distance, the stars sparkled, as if the universe itself was watching. Larkin's voice broke the silence as he turned to his comrades. "We're not finished yet," he said. The simple, unspoken truth hung in the air. Earth had made its mark, but the universe was vast, and there would be more battles to fight. The camera panned up to the sky, showing the endless expanse of stars. In the cold silence of space, one message would travel across the cosmos: don't mess with Earth. This iconic phrase, simple but powerful, resonated throughout the galaxy. It was a declaration that Earth was no longer a forgotten world, a planet on the edge of the universe. No longer would the inhabitants of Earth be seen as weak or unimportant. They had proven themselves, and now their place in the galaxy was secured. The message would ring in the minds of every alien species that heard it, a reminder that humanity was no longer a target, but a force to be reckoned with. As the screen faded to black, the question hung in the air like a challenge: will the Empire heed the warning, or will they return to finish what they started? The galaxy held its breath, knowing that the future was uncertain. The battle for Earth may have been won, but the war was far from over. With humanity's strength now undeniable, there was a sense of inevitability to what would come next. The Galactic Empire had learned a hard lesson, but it was clear they weren't about to give up their ambitions. The humans had made their mark, but what would happen when the Empire's forces returned with vengeance in their hearts? The story concluded with one final, haunting message that would echo through the stars, resonating in the hearts of those who heard it across the galaxy: don't mess with Earth. The galaxy would never forget it. Humanity's fight had only just begun.